When you're graphing a parabola, you are always given a vertex form. Now, when you take this vertex form, you need to know how to graph this parabola. So, the basic pattern of a parabola to graph is the step pattern, which is you go up one, you go up one when you go over one. When you go over two, you go up four. Okay? So, you use this step pattern throughout everything when you're graphing vertex form or whenever you're graphing a parabola. This is the basic pattern when you're graphing a parabola. So let's say you were given this equation, y equals to x plus 3 squared plus 4. So automatically, let's just find our vertex first. So our vertex is negative 3, the opposite, 4. So we know our vertex, okay? So we can see here that there is no vertical stretch, reflection, or compression. So we know automatically our graph is going to be without no vertical stretch. So in order to graph this, first you're going to graph your vertex. So for instance, let's say your vertex has to be negative 3 here and 4 here. So you're going to graph it right over here, okay? So you know that your graph is going to be going up. So you're going to use this step pattern to graph this, okay? So the step pattern is you go over 1. So over 1 is this way. So when you go over 1, that becomes what? Negative 1, negative 3, and you go to the other by 1, it'll become negative 2. So you're here. Then you go up by 1, which is right over here. Okay? You have that side done. Now we're going to do the other side of it. So you go over by 1, that becomes negative 4, which is right there. And then you go up by 1. So that's going to be right there. Then you have to go over 2, so it becomes 1, 0, and up by 4. So you have 1, 2, 3, 4. So you're right here. So this is basically 9. This part here, that's 9. Then over here, you just do it the same place, but over by 1 again, and that is it. So you use the step pattern to make this parabola. Now this is just a sketch. I'm just showing you how you can use this step pattern, okay? So let's just do it on the side here, okay? You have no stretch in this parabola, okay? In this equation. You have no stretch. Alright? You have no stretch. You have your vertex, which is negative 3, 4, okay? So, you know, if you have no stretch, then you just need to originally use this pattern. So you'd go over 1, up 1, over 2, up 4. So there'd be no difference in when you're going up, okay? So let's say you're given the equation y equals to x plus 4 squared plus 3. So let's get your vertex, which equals to negative 4, 3. So first let's plot down our vertex in the graph. So negative 4 is right here. Then you're going to go up by 3, which is right here. So this is your vertex. So right away looking at this equation, you know that there is no vertical stretch and there's no reflection or compression. So this graph the step pattern is not going to interfere with this graph, and the graph is obviously going to be going up because it is positive. So whenever you're drawing a graph, just remind yourself the step pattern, which is over 1, up 1, over 2, up 4. So in this graph, you are going to stick to the same step pattern. You're not going to add anything. So we'll go over 1, and that would become negative 3. Then we have to go up by 1, which becomes 4. So this point is negative 3, 4. Okay? So let's do it for the other side, okay? So we go over 1, so that'd become negative 5 here. Then we have to go up by 1, which is right here, which is the same, which is 4. So we're done this part here. Now we have to do over 2 up by 4. So we are at negative 4. -3. Now we're at -2. So we moved 2 spots, so we're done that. We got to go up by 4. So let's go 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay? That's your point there. This side, we're going to go over by 2. 1, 2. So that's going to be -6. We have to go up by 4. So we go 1, 2, 3, 4, which is right here. Okay? So let's connect the points. Now, whenever you're drawing a parabola, always have arrows because the parabola is always going to continue. It never ends. So, as you can see, we used our step pattern to make this parabola, which is over 1, up by 1, over 2, up by 4. So we had our vertex, which is -4, 3. So we put that point there. Then we use the step pattern to determine how the parabola will be drawn. We know that parabola is positive, so it's not going to go down. So we go over 1, up by 1, over 2, up by 4. Over 1, up by 1, over 2, up by 4. Okay? So, this equation is different from the first one. Because first, as we see here, there's a stretch pattern. Then, that's really the only difference. So, it's going to interfere with our step pattern. So, first, let's determine the vertex. And that's 4, -5. So, let's plot that down. So, we have 4 here. Then we have -5, which is right here. So we're going to plot that down there, okay? So our step pattern is over 1, up 1, over 2, up 4. So you're given a stretch here, okay? What you're going to do is you're going to multiply your up by that stretch. So the stretch is what? Number 3. So you're going to just multiply your up by that number. So up 1, you multiply that by 3. Up 4, you multiply that by 3. So you're not going to multiply over 1 or over 2. That you're not going to. All you're multiplying is the up portion. To do up 1 times 3, up 4 times 3. So up 1 times 3 will equal to 1 times 3, which equals to 3. Then 4 times 3 equals to 12. So you'll be going over 1 up by 3, over 2 up by 12. So you took your original step pattern, which you use whenever you have an x, it always stays the same. But since you have 3 here, a stretch, you're going to take that up and multiply it by 3, which is 1 times 3 and then 4 times 3. And you get 3 and then 12. So let's graph that, okay? So we have our vertex here. So we go over 1, and our new up is 3. So we go 1, 2, 3. So we're right over there. Okay, then we go over 2, 1, 2. And our new pattern is up by 12. So we go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 12, 11, 12. Sorry. Come there. So we do it for this opposite side the same way. So over 1, up by 3. Over 2, up by 12. So, now let's connect the dots. As I said, always have arrows because the parabola is never ending. Alright, so just to go over what we did with this step pattern is that you go over 1, up by 1, over 2, up by 4. This is your original step pattern, okay? You always use this step pattern, and if you have only an x value, as we see here, it will stay the same. Since you have a stretch, you're going to multiply the up by that stretch. So in this case, it's 3, so you multiply up 1 by 3, up 4 by 3. Whatever your final answer is, that is how much you are going to go up by. Okay? So basically, this is how you draw a parabola when you're given vertex form. You use this step pattern, and if you have a vertical stretch, then you multiply the up by that vertical stretch. So this is exactly how you draw a parabola. Okay?